Let's take a look at our supplies that we're going to need to make the Parrot Tulip. That's a 3D floral in Design Space. All right, so I'll show you where to find the file here in just a minute, but this is what we're making. So it is completely made out of paper, so you will need to start with getting some paper. So I recommend a 65-pound. This is just Michael's Recollection paper, but you know, Hobby Lobby and Joann's all have paper that's more this weight. How do you tell? Sometimes the packaging will tell you. Other times it's just a matter, if the paper can be bent pretty easily like this. You want a solid core, which means that it's not a white core in the middle. So make sure when you look for your paper that you're getting a solid color. And it'll usually tell you on the packaging, or if you turn the paper end to end, you can usually see if it's a white core or if it's color all the way through. So you'll need cardstock. You'll also need a skewer or a paintbrush or something that we're going to use to help shape our petals. So you can certainly use one of your Cricut tools. You could also use just a little paintbrush, okay? And you can even use like a bamboo skewer from your kitchen. So you will need to have adhesives. I'm going to be using my hot glue gun. I have a 2-temp AdTech glue gun, so I'll be using it on the low temp. And that'll help me as I'm going through and working on my flower, and it'll dry much quicker. You can use quick dry adhesives. So there's a Scotch quick dry adhesive that a lot of people have for paper crafting. You just want to make sure that it's a quick dry glue. Or like I have a Close to My Heart liquid glass glue I've used for this as well. Or art glitter glue dries clear, and it is also a fast drying glue. You may have other quick dry glues that you want to try. Go right ahead. And of course you'll need a mat to put your paper on to use with either your Cricut Explore or your Cricut Maker machine. Now you cannot do this project on the Cricut Joy right now because the Cricut Joy is small and it doesn't have the width to do a project where we're going to be needing to be cutting some pieces that are pretty wide. I'll show you where to find the file, but while I've got you on camera right now doing this, you'll take your cover off of your mat. I'm using a light grip blue mat. That's what I generally use for paper crafting, unless I'm using a heavier weight paper, and then I would use a green mat. But this, on the lighter weight paper, the blue mat's fine. You're just going to put your paper in the right orientation on your mat and lay it down like this. And then when Design Space prompts you to put it in your machine and cut it out, that's what you'll do. So super easy. Let's take a look at where to find the file in Design Space. Okay, now we're in Design Space. I'm going to show you where to go find the image. So I'm going over here to my images in my left menu. You do want to notice that what I'm about to show you, I am using the Cricut Design Space desktop version, and it is version 5.7.20. This just recently rolled out right before the filming of this video. If you don't have it yet, it's slowly rolling out to all Cricut users. So I'm going to click on Images. And what's going to come up is the new search window. And I have a separate video showing you how to go through and use the search window. So you'll look for that. This is where you're going to type in your search. Before it used to be over here in the right hand corner, and now they've just made it more obvious here in the middle. So we're going to type in the word Parrot Tulip and do a search. There's 133,000 images in Design Space right now, and it's going to come up with the word, anything with the word parrot and the word tulip in it. So now we did an image search, not a project search. And when you look at the images, you can just scroll through, and when you scroll down, you will find here is our flower. That's what it looks like in Design Space. You're going to, when you hover over it, it'll tell you that it's the Parrot Tulip, and you can click on that and then do Insert Image. I'm going to bring it up into your Design Space screen. So it has already come into Design Space, already grouped, so everything is sized appropriately. This will come in at, the width will be 13.968, and the height will be 11.118. Leave it exactly that way. That way your flower will be the right proportions. And then you'll just hit make it. Now make sure you've either picked that you have a Cricut Maker or a Cricut Explore machine, and you will see up here, you'll see the first image that you're going to cut out, which will be the brown paper to use for stamens in the flower. Okay, so there's a brown stamen part and then there's a yellow stamen part. So look, it's small, so use your scraps. Now if you were working with a larger sheet, now I could certainly take this and change the material size. So the pack of paper that I'm using for this is an 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to go ahead and change all of my mats to work with 8.5 by 11 paper because that's the width of the paper that I'm using. I can go through and click on each one. Now I will say the green piece does need a larger piece of paper, so because it is 11 and like a half, so you will need a 12 by 12 piece of paper for the green. So I'm going to leave that one at 12 by 12, but this one can be put on 8.5 by 11. Design Space automatically defaults to 12 by 12. As you're working with smaller pieces of paper, it's nice to go through and change this as you need to. So now that you're ready, you've got your mats all ready to go, you can go ahead and click continue. And you will need to, of course, pick whichever machine you're working with. Today, I've got my Cricut Maker on my desk, so I'm using my Cricut Maker. You may be using your Cricut Explore machine. Then you want to pick whatever cardstock that you're using. So this is my tip. There is a lightweight cardstock. It is set for about 60 pounds, okay, of paper. That's the weight of the piece of paper. And then there's a medium cardstock setting, which is an 80-pound piece of paper, which is just a little bit thicker. Now, because of the shape of the petals for this particular flower, I had a little bit more trouble when I had it on the light cardstock setting, so I did mine on the medium cardstock setting. You may want to test yours and see. Depends upon, I've had my blade in my machine for a while now. If you've got a brand new blade in, you may be perfectly fine using the light cardstock. So do one of the smaller pieces, see how it works. And if you need to switch to the medium cardstock, do that. But I'm going to do medium cardstock. And the only thing we need is our fun tip blade that's already in our machine. So let's go ahead and get all of our images cut out, and then I'll be back on camera with you guys to show you how to put the flower together. I wanted to show you that as you cut each of the different pieces of image for this flower, when you get the cut done, so this is the pale pink that I'm using for the main shape of the petal. The best way to take this off is to just flip your mat over and gently pull your mat away from the paper, like so. And then do the same thing with the petal shapes. Okay, that'll help them come off really super easy. You'll have 6 of these. Okay, and then you'll do the same thing with the other pieces as you cut them out. So now that you have everything cut out, you're going to have 6 of the large petals. You're going to have 6 of these smaller petals. You'll have a long strip that's going to become our stem, and you'll have a leaf, and then you'll have this piece has got the ridges on the top, and this head has like the stamens on it. Okay, so this is what we're going for. Just to remind you, that's what we're going to be making. All right, so what I want you to do is we're going to start on the stem first, just to do something simple. And you're going to take your piece, and I'm going to move these up here out of the way real quick. Okay, so I want you to take this piece and use whatever you have decided you're going to use as your tool. I'm just going to use the paintbrush, the end of the paintbrush, and you're going to take this, and I want you to put it like this on one end of this, okay, strip, and you're going to start up at the very top and just start it rolling, and you're doing it at an angle. Okay, so once you get it on there like so, you can actually take your tool out and then you're just rolling it. Okay, now depending upon how tightly or loosely you roll it will determine the length of your stem. And you just want to keep twisting it, just like this. Okay, keep it nice and tight as you're twisting. And when you get all the way to the end, you're going to glue this part down to the stem. I put a little glue on there, and then I just lay mine down and roll it onto it. Okay, let that hold for a second so the glue really grabs nicely. Okay, and now we have our stem that we're going to put our flower on later. And we'll play with the leaf at the last thing. So we're going to set those two off to the side. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start with this yellow piece. You may have made yours a different color, whatever you made it, but it's the one that has the ridges across the top. And we're just going to roll this pretty tightly. So start rolling it. I'm just wrapping it around the end of my tool and wrapping it pretty tightly to get it started. And then I can pull my tool out, and then I just want to roll the paper up. Okay, I'm keeping the bottom edge flat, and I want to roll it, so I'm creating it like this. It'll be a little tube. Okay, just like that. We'll put a little bit of glue along the edge here to hold it closed. I'm going to use one of my rubber glue tips, but you can use the end of your tool also to help you get it on there if you are using the hot glue gun. If you're using a liquid glue, you're going to need to hold this for a couple of seconds just to make sure that the glue grabs it and holds that edge. We're going to take this piece, and actually I'm going to go ahead and just take my tool handle here. I'm using the paintbrush, and I'm just kind of breaking up the fibers a little bit so it rolls a little bit easier. Okay, and we're going to be wrapping this center, the stamens or whatever this is, I made mine in brown, is going to go around here. Okay, and you're going to make sure that the bottom edge is lined up with each other. Okay, so the bottom edge of the center and the bottom edge of this stamen piece, and you're going to roll that up tightly around it and add some glue to it. Okay, so that's all we're going to do. Let me show you again. So here is the piece that we made where we rolled it up. Then you're going to take, this is the piece that's the stamens. I'm going to add a little bit of glue on one edge of it, and then I'm going to put it on the center rolled piece and make sure I keep the bottom edge flush with the bottom edge of the center to the piece I'm rolling on top of it. And I'm just going to pull it, just going to roll it all the way around it. And then I want to add a little bit of glue on the other end to close it. Okay, just a little bit of glue, and then I'm just going to roll that right up. Okay, if you're using liquid glue, again, you're going to hold this for a second or two to make sure that your glue has grabbed it. Okay, so once you've got that, then you can kind of fluff out your little stamens a little bit. Be gentle with it. It's paper. You don't want to tear it, but just kind of fluff them out a little bit. They're not going to be even. That is perfectly the way it's supposed to look. So now we've created the stamen centerpiece. So now that we have our stem done and our stamen done, we're going to work on a flower. So I want you to take whatever device it is you've decided to use for your shaping tool, and you're going to start with the larger petal shapes. You'll notice that on the bottom there is a split here, cut here, and this is the way we're going to do this. You're just going to take your tool and just pull it with your fingers using your thumb, and we're gently kind of loosening up the fibers of the paper when we do this, so that then the shape of that petal starts bending like this. Okay, so we're taking a flat piece in my right hand and you're going to just bend it so it's just gently curved. It doesn't need to be a big curve, and you want to do it gently because you don't want to tear your paper. But I'm just using my thumb to kind of help guide it around the edge of my tool. All right, so we're going to do that for all 6 of these. And I'm coming down, you know, like right about here on the petal and pulling it out to help give me that shape. Just do these real quick. This is what makes the difference when you go to assemble your flower, is making sure that you have curved your pieces so that you get more of a natural shape to it. We'll get all 6 of these pieces done. This is a beautiful flower when you finish with it, and you're going to be amazed that you were able to make it yourself. So we've got all 6 of these done. Now we're going to work on the other ones, the ones that look like this. They almost look like a leaf, right? We're going to do the same thing. You're just going to take it and just gently curve it so it goes in this shape, okay? So I'm just taking it and curving it. Just pulling it across my tool, using my thumb to kind of help guide it. And that's it. Now, feel free to pause the video as you need to catch up. Okay, so now that we've shaped all of our petals, now we want to glue them together. So you're going to take one of your petals, the large petal, you're going to turn it so it's curving up towards you. Okay, so I've got it, this is curving towards me. I'm going to take one of the small petals that's also curving towards me, and it's going to get glued on the bottom of the petal where the slits are. Okay, so you can still open the slit. So we're just going to put a dollop of glue on the edge, and then we're going to line it up here like so. There we go. And we're going to do that for all of these. So you're going to have your big petal so that the flip is coming towards you, and then also the small petal is coming towards you when with the curve, okay? And you're going to glue that on there. And this will just take a second to get all of these done. Okay, so now we've got these done like this. All right, I want you to let them dry for a second. If you did liquid glue, you may need to let them dry for a couple of seconds so that they're attached. Then I want you to take the petal over, and you're going to turn it towards this side that's just one color now. And we're going to put a little dollop of glue on one side of it, and then we're going to lay the other one over it. Okay, the other side of the split. So we'll put a dollop of glue where my right thumb is, and then we're going to then lay this part over it like this, and it kind of creates this little cup shape. So we're going to do that for all of these. So a little dollop of glue on the right side of the slit. Then you're just going to bend the other side of the slit over on top and hold this to get it to stick, and it's creating this kind of nice, beautiful little curve with both of it. Okay, so it's going to look like this. The petals, when you finish doing that, it looks like this. So we're going to do that again. We're going to take a little bit of our glue and put it on the right side of the slit. Then we're going to take the left side of the slit and curve this. You have to bend the paper just a little bit. And hold it, and so you end up with a little curved piece like this. Okay, so that's how we're creating the petals. When you finish, you will have 6 double petals basically, because now we've got 2 pieces on each petal. So once you have your 6 petals done, they'll look like this. They'll look like a little cup. And then the back side of it has that nice plume that goes out from it. So once you've got those, then what you're going to do is you're going to take 3 of these and you're going to glue them. I'll show you first. We're going to put some glue here on the inside, and then we're going to lay one of the other petals in there. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side, and we're going to lay one of these petals inside of that. So what we're doing is we're creating this cup shape. Can you kind of see that? All right, so that's what we're doing with the glue. So we're just going to take a glob of glue in the bottom, then you're going to add your other cup shape to it. And you want these will be the back of your, or the outside petals of your flower shape. So you want to not bunch them up too tightly, because the other petals are going to go inside of here. So add some glue here. And then this petal goes right here. Okay, just make sure that those are attached well. All right, so now you've created this shape by gluing these 3 together. It looks like that on the bottom. Okay, so you've got these 3 in. Now you're going to layer the other 3 are going to go inside. But when you put these inside, see how like there's these 2 petals here? The right one and the left one? You're going to take this one and it's going to go in between those 2 petals. All right, so we're going to glue this in the bottom, like right there. So for this, I like to put it in on the back side of the petal to then push it in. Okay, so I'm just going to lay it here, and I'm alternating it with the other petal, the other 2 petals behind it. And just kind of push it with my fingers. If you're using the liquid glue, you'll need to hold that for a minute to make sure that it is secure in there. I'm going to do the same thing with the other petals. I'm going to alternate those and lay them right in. Okay. Just kind of bunch it up in there. And I'm just pushing down with using my thumbs to push down into the bottom to make sure the glue is being secured in there. Okay, and then we have our last petal goes into the last position. And with this one, I tend to kind of loosen it up a little bit so that it will get in there a little bit tighter. So whichever one of these is your last petal, feel free to kind of bend it in. See how I'm bending it here with my fingers? To kind of make it just a slightly bit smaller so that it'll go right into the middle of your flower, into the side. Okay, this is the spot where it's going, where I've alternated them. This one's going to fit right in here. So, but I want to kind of bend it a little bit to give it just a little smaller space. And then I'm going to add my glue on the bottom of it. And stick it right here into the center of my flower. So this is going to complete the inside of your flower shape. Okay, so then you end up with this beautiful flower. Okay, and now we're going to add our stamen that we created, goes here in the center. So I'm going to put some glue on the bottom of this, and it's just going to go in the middle of the flower. Okay, now this you're going to have to hold for a minute or two to get it to really stick well in the center of your flower. And I'm pushing up from the bottom so that it's giving it a base. You could also just push it down onto your mat. Okay, and then you can kind of go back and refluff your stamens in there, and now you have your actual tulip part of your flower is complete. Ta-da! It's amazing what you can do with the flat pieces of cardstock, right? All right, now we're going to put it on the stem. So go grab your stem and get your leaf. With the leaf, we're going to take our leaf and we're going to pull, same thing, we're going to put our tool on the bottom, our pattern, our paper for the leaf, and we're just going to gently curve it. You don't want a big curve. And then so I've got a curve going this way, just a nice gentle leaf, what you would see on a tulip petal leaf. And then I'm just going to use my tool and kind of move this a little bit here on the bottom. So that's going to give me a channel for me to add to my flower stem. All right, so I've got that ready. Now, to glue your flower on to your stem, you're going to take the paper stem that we made, and you're going to notice that as we rolled it, it created this little cup here. See how there's like a little indentation here? That's the part where we're going to add glue, and it's going to go glue onto the back of your flowers. So what I do is I find where I've got one of these points on the bottom of my flower from where I added those together. You can kind of see those, right? And I'm going to pick one of those, and that's where my flower stem is going to be glued to the top of that. Okay, so it's going to fit into here, and it's going to be glued on like this, and that's what's going to hold your flower to your stem. So figure out where makes the most sense on your flower. Everybody's is going to be slightly different depending upon how you bunched your flower up. Find a point, and then you're going to glue your stem onto that. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I think I've decided mine's going right here. And I'm going to put glue on here. Around the edges, and I'm going to add glue right here. I just want to make sure that it's a nice dollop of glue so that these will stick together and hold my flower. So I'm going to lay it like this, and then you just want to hold this. So you're going to have to let that dry. So you can see here, I've got the stem is pressed up against the flower. I've added the glue, and it's just going to take a second for it to really grasp onto that and dry. Okay, so once I've got my flower on my stem, just like this, now you're starting to see your beautiful flower. And then you just want to add your leaf. So where we created that channel on the leaf, I'm going to add some glue there, and then I'm going to glue it onto my stem. Okay, so I want mine kind of down like this when I go to put it on. So I'm going to put some glue here. Kind of roll that a little bit. I'm going to hold it on for a second to make sure it grabs. Okay, and now we have our completed flower. This is the Parrot Tulip Flower in Design Space. It looks beautiful. All right, so make yourself a bunch. Make some and leave them for your neighbors. Would be fun to just leave them a little note with a, you know, happy spring or something to just bring a smile to their faces. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know, leave me a comment in the description of the video if you enjoyed this. If you want to see more 3D flowers, let me know. If you want to see me make something else, let me know that. I'm always happy to show you guys how to craft with your Cricut. All right, happy crafting, everybody.